Oh boy. Alright, Guardians. Weapons. Anomaly blessed. Whatever we're called these days. This video is going to go over my overall thoughts on the Edge of Fate's story, gameplay and systems, endgame and grind, and I'll be scoring it at the end out of 10. Maybe I should make a tier list for the expansions too in the future. We'll see. Now I'm keeping in mind this is the start of a new saga, but also as someone who has played since Destiny 1 back in 2014, I'm going to be brutally honest as well. If I miss anything, let me know down below, but let's get into it. Also, if it ain't obvious, spoilers ahead. Part 1, Story. The story for the Edge of Fate was an excellent, mind-bending tale, bringing us up to speed about the Nine and introducing new characters like Lodi and the Aeonians. While the Aeonians are more RPG-like when you interact with them, it was neat having a change in the way you interact with side characters, and they should continue this going forward. Also, finding data pads in the portal activities is a nice touch to add extra lore bits here and there to collect, besides lore tabs. Reminds me of the Halo days. Lodi is an amazing new character, and I hope he doesn't get tossed aside like some of the other characters in the past. The most recent and understandable example would be Zavala, who had a major part in the final shape. His voice actor Lance Reddick passed away before the expansion launched, and the legendary Keith David replaced him for the expansion. This is the main reason he hasn't been included in the story, but what bothers me is he hasn't even had a mention in the Edge of Fate. On that same note, spoilers again, the Nine called Ikora Commander, and while I get the feeling the Nine's ability to see the future is involved with this, it's kind of a terrible way to find out that Ikora may replace our beloved Commander Zavala. That being said, I get it's a new saga, and in some ways it's better to have less characters for a fresh start. I'm interested in where Ikora's character is headed into the future, because of that one cutscene that I will let people watch for themselves, and won't spoil here, but it makes me interested if we can find out about our own Guardian or others past. Just my thoughts though, let me know down below what you think, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Speaking of the Nine though, finding out 3 got killed at the end is a super interesting and major plot point. The cosmic horror vibes are awesome here. We ended up reviving it with Drifter's Hall, which is kind of funny I guess. And it tells us we have to bind the Nine if we want to save the universe. Side note here, a part of me wishes the universe gets wiped so we might get a Destiny 3 or engine upgrade, but we'll see. But then tragedy struck. The conductor swoops in and just kills 3 again.
What?
You mean to tell me that this character that basically only has one terrible build up in episode Echoes, where she ends up sinking down into a river of Vex milk, is powerful enough to take out a 4th dimensional being? I mean, I get she has an echo and everything, but yeah. And in a sense it's kinda cool, but I'm also here thinking, we as Guardians have harnessed power of the light and dark becoming transcendent, and we just sat back and watched it explode. Maybe it's because of our sunsetting and our power reset that we're so weak. But maybe they'll bring back Aramis and Oryx, who also have echoes like the conductor. But Aramis left, never to be seen again, charting a new course on a new planet. And Oryx we straight up just murdered. And now Savathun and Xivu Arath are pissed at us. Episode Heresy was dope though, I won't lie. It just sucks that some of the dialogue was missing because of the SAG after strikes. Just want to mention the raid story here too though. It seems that the Vex may get their time in the spotlight again as an interesting faction. I'm all here for that, but I'm itching to see new stuff too. The newest Vex enemy is the Imp. That's it. The Fallen have the Corsairs. That's it. While the Fallen aren't part of the raid, they haven't changed much, just like the Vex. Yet. The raid looks cool, and has Leviathan vibes with the non-linear bosses. Please someone raid with me. Overall though, I did enjoy most of the story, and it's definitely better than Destiny 1's vanilla story. I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. If I'm brutally honest, however, I wouldn't rank the story above the Red Wars personally. Gameplay and systems wise, when you beat the Red War, it's absolutely terrible. And it feels like the opposite of this expansion. But the story, if it's not stolen, you know, what's going on there, is still one of the best stories Destiny's ever had. Yes, Forsaken, Taken King, Final Shave, etc. top it. There's such a twist on what we experienced beforehand. Seeing us struggle without light and rallying new help from civilians for a counterattack against Dominus Gaul. We got to see the Cabal side of the story as well and their motives in cutscenes and not just dialogue. That's another thing I wanted to mention. Even though the cutscenes in The Edge of Fate were great, they're very few and far between. And I'm not talking about the in-game ones either. It just overall feels like less, but maybe that's just me. And maybe they need to only do in-game cutscenes or something, just so they don't have these giant major ones that probably cost a lot to produce. Regardless, I think The Edge of Fate has definitely accomplished something previous vanilla launches haven't in the past story-wise. Plus, the biggest thing it does give us is a purpose and make us semi-important again as Guardians. It's still not perfect, however, and it doesn't have to be, but they should still take more time to cook these stories, I feel like. With that said, let's get into gameplay and systems. Part 2. Gameplay and systems. I think this is the juiciest part of the expansion. We got major changes in The Edge of Fate. While I won't list them all here, I'll name some of the big ones. The portal, new tier system, new armor system, and many more. And I will say the portal is a little controversial, but I think for the health of the game it is pretty good. It's the reason people call this expansion just a major system overhaul. Even if that's negative talk, for the health of the game going forward, it's good for the long term. I absolutely love the new armor system. It's been stale and boring since Armor 2.0, where you just use the same armor for basically years. And when was that? 4 or 5 years ago? Good lord. Now there's actually a reason to get multiple armor sets with 2 to 4 piece sets and archetypes. Weapons haven't changed much besides getting integrated into the Tier 5 system. Speaking of, this new system is very neat, except the grind to get there is bad. And slow. We'll talk about that at the end, so stay tuned. I also wish all the old weapons and armor got updated into the system so the chase was there. But I have a feeling Bungie's going to rehash all that stuff again for better or worse. And that is a really bad thing because we've already had all this stuff giving back to us multiple times. Like, you think of Vault of Glass, or like they could rehash stuff from Salvation's Edge or something like that, and people have already earned this stuff, at least people that have played these expansions. And I get they want to bring new people in to experience those things too, but there really should have been updates to everything here. But getting past that, getting the tier 4 and 5 gear has got to be the biggest chase for people right now. While they do have a fully enhanced suite of perks and mods for weapons and extra slots or stats for armor, it's really not required. I've been messing around with 2 to 3 gear tier that already has enhanced perks on weapons and extra stats on armor. With tier 3 weapons having 4 perks to select from, and I've been having a blast build crafting. In saying that though, trying to get those things takes so long. There should be a way to just upgrade your at least tier 3 up to 4 and 5, because it's mind-bogglingly slow. But I'm going to talk about Kepler itself here for a bit too. The new abilities are cool, but until they're actually in our subclass, I don't think they're really abilities. They're glorified destination mechanics that are shaped to look like the Guardian's abilities. Again, don't get me wrong here, I think they're a cool new addition, and especially with the puzzles and everything, they make Kepler actually fun to mess around on, and necessary to beat certain encounters, especially on Mythic, which I've barely tried because of this grindy system. But without them, Kepler would be as boring as Neomuna or Mercury. Let's talk about that actually. Kepler is a borderline Mercury kind of hub planet, with 3 long lost sector type split-offs and mazes, especially that damn Fallen arena, or area. Then there's the door that opens after getting all the strangelets that lead to the final boss. Look, they tried, but without all the classic go through level then go back again Bungie trope, and the repetitiveness of that, Kepler's campaign could have been done in like 3 or 4 hours. I think the way in which they made Kepler fun is fine with the puzzles and all that, but the world and mission design is slipping back into old habits, which isn't a good thing. Also, Sieve is a glorified public event activity gambit hybrid from hell. It's alright, but it is basically just a public event gambit hybrid. I know all of this sounds harsh, but it's my honest opinion at this point, and for the future, this is a hot take, they should go back to yearly releases to make meaningful content like the Pale Heart. The Pale Heart being a linear destination where you push through to get to the witness was such a good idea and change up for a destination. Now there were areas and stuff that were kind of rehashed, like the one from IO and stuff like that, but they breathed new life into them, and that was kind of it was wrapped around into the story that like the Pale Heart is a reflection of your memories and stuff like that. You felt like you entered the Traveler and slowly saw the corruption of the witness, going through heaven and hell. Again, I know Final Shape was the end of a 10-year journey, I know. But man, these new destinations cannot go back to the way Bungie's been making them the past 10 years before Final Shape or even Witch Queen. Because those destinations were banging. All in all, I think it's definitely a 50-50 for me in terms of gameplay and systems. On the one hand, the system changes are nice and freshen up the game. For Kepler, I think they've done better, and it feels to me like they squeeze it out as a filler before Renegades. Like I've said, I think they're better off the way they've done the yearly expansions before, because anytime we see Bungie try to deliver more content frequently, the quality and quantity drops immensely. Even though episodes were a bit rough, they had their moments, especially in Heresy. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. They've definitely made some welcome changes in the systems department, and while there's no new subclass, it's sorely needed. There are many new tools in the sandbox. The many exotic changes and all the new armor, stats, weapons are fun to use. I will say the way in which you go after them, however, needs some more tuning. Let's talk endgame and grind. Part 3. Endgame and grind. Here's my problem with what they've done, and I think most people will agree with me on this topic. The grind is way too much. We're 2-ish weeks into the expansion at the point of this video's out, and I'm only reaching the 2030s in power. Keep in mind you can reach 450 and beyond. I've only been climbing the ladder, so to speak, where I'm only playing on expert with modifiers that make it minus 30, minus 50 power. Anything beyond that is like playing contest mode every time. And the health pools for the enemies are stupidly high. Now granted, I have been working on videos and stuff, but the amount of time new or veteran players have to put in is too damn much. I'll paint a picture in your mind to simplify. You do the legendary campaign, which ain't bad at all, you'll reach 200 power easily. I've been playing back-to-back activities that, by the way, older players have played a billion times, don't lie to yourselves, we'll get into that soon, that have a difficulty where I don't pull my hair out. I've only gotten a handful of tier 3s and mostly tier 2s, which is fine for most players. What's terrible is the ladder climb itself and the repetitiveness of it. Don't get me wrong here, big streamers and absolute gamers, relax, hold your horses. Grind in a game like Destiny is something that's always existed, and there should be some level of it. Things shouldn't be just handed to you on a silver platter every time you log in for an hour. The issue is total time and difficulty on things above expert. Yes, you can get your level up to make it easier, but the power delta is too much. The amount of loot drops is great, and that whole daily weekly system is fine, but you should not be playing contest level difficulty on Mythic. There's too much of a gap there, too much of a increase in difficulty, and it just needs to be tuned. Speaking of the contest raid, Desert Perpetual, the new raid, also had this issue. Now, in fairness, contest mode raid should be the hardest content, and it definitely was. It took veteran players almost the entire 48 hours to beat it simply because Bungie cranked the difficulty past what they said and made bosses absolutely spongy. I also say this as someone without a raid team. Again, someone raid with me. But back to the power grind itself though. I think this could have been remedied by introducing many new activities within the portal, or returning ones that we haven't played in a long time. Not saying they're not going to do that or bring back things people like that weren't in the game for a while, like I'm pretty sure the coil is coming next week. But when you make it to the point where you have to treat it like your job, it is not fun anymore. It's still really early to tell if the power grind is going to stay this way or if Bungie will change it. I think at this point in a game that's almost 10 years old, they really need to consider the fact that these changes, and this is important now, could drive away long-time or returning players that just want to enjoy the game and get the grind on and just level up progressively instead of having this stupid difficulty arbitrarily put on the people. And it also makes new players not want to play it long term because they feel like, oh, I'm getting into this game and I gotta put this many hours into it. Why should I do that? Oh, it's getting reset in 6 months. Okay, whatever. As someone who merely plays this game once as a hardcore fan, now more casual, I should have realized that the final shape was the best send-off for this franchise that I'll ever get. Now, we may be entering Fortnite-style territory where Bungie just collabs with as many people as possible to turn a profit. Obviously, their main goal is to make money, but every expansion seems like they're doing the bare minimum to get as much revenue as possible. I don't want to sound too wishy-washy here either, but I definitely think they're kicking ass in the narrative, sandbox systems, and art departments. I wish there was new subclasses and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get one in Renegades, but who knows. The idea around the Dark Matter abilities is great on paper, but the execution is always a struggle with Bungie. Maybe a new game is needed at this point, or another major engine overhaul. They're still using a heavily modified version of the Blam engine from even before Halo released. But the mechanics around the mission structure, world design, and overall feel of the core game is in desperate need of an overhaul because repetitive design, in terms of replaying the same areas over and over, needs to change. Maybe I'm being too hypercritical, but I've been here since Destiny launched in 2014, and seeing how time flies, isn't it? And redoing the Devil's Lair over and over again is not fun. And for Destiny's case, I do still have my fun with the game, and the thing that keeps me around is the build crafting, gameplay feel, narrative, and more. What frustrates me is their overall lack of innovation, more focus on the shop, overall less content for more money every year. And you know, the individual expansions are $40 and you can make that argument, but when they lock certain things like New Land Beyond behind the $100 edition, it's not great. It's always been a mixed bag. Wouldn't be Destiny if it wasn't, and most things in the game are subjective. Being passionate about something means you care about how it's doing and where it's headed. There are highs and lows in this franchise, and I'm still unsure what this expansion is. It's more of a 50-50 for me. I think for anyone who's been playing for a while since before the final shape, it feels like another Shadowkeep or Lightfall minus the story. For new players, it is a brand new world for Destiny, and there are many positives, especially with the amount of content from the past. Destiny is still a game I cherish because Bungie has brought many good times of my life and helped me through a lot of personal stuff. I don't want to sound like I'm quitting the game because at the end of the day, I probably won't. But that just depends on how Bungie handles this next year of Destiny, and if they listen to critical feedback from the community. Overall, I think I gave this expansion a 6.5 out of 10. And I was going to go a bit higher, but I think I knocked down points for just the general bugs in the game and the amount of grind that they make people do. And, you know, the positives are the story. Gameplay for Destiny is still solid. There should be some new tools in the sandbox besides just the one new exotics per class and a couple new weapons. Like, still feels like a little less, so I knock it down a peg for that too. But yeah, that's my ramble. Let me know if I missed something in the comments below. Have a great day, Guardians.